Hello everybody, so in today's video we would be dealing with the most easiest unit of our UGC net paper 2 English. Now when it comes to literary criticism, students get confused that ma'am, what is literary criticism? There are so many critics, there are so many terms, so many theories and their works. So when it comes to literary criticism, now what do we mean by the word criticism? We have seen there are people who pass the critiques of another people. Have you seen such people? OMG, you are looking so good. OMG, you are looking so bad. And there are people who says that yes, that book is good, that drama is good, that drama is interesting, that fascinates us. Hamlet is a wonderful piece of work. But actually, there are other critics who says that no, Hamlet is not good. It does not have objective correlative. It is a failure. So who we are to critique? So critiques are the people, authors, the writers and the philosophers who passes the critique on an object, on a piece of work of literature, be it novel, be it drama, be it any essay, be it anything, any genre. So criticism is all about analyzing, evaluating. Like if I have to give a criticism of somebody, then I will evaluate every point, the positive point, the negative point. Then I will tell, then I will base my judgment on all these points. So this is known as criticism. So when I do the criticism of some literary work, then that is known as literary criticism. It's easy. So this is all about criticism. Now there are various types of criticism. Now problem starts when we are not familiar with the writers, with the ideas that they have given. There are different kinds of people and we all have different priorities. We all have different preferences, likes and dislikes. So just imagine a scenario. If I am buying a mobile phone, then there are different people who will suggest me that look at the physical feature of the phone, that how big the screen is and whether the phone looks good or not, whether it is sleek or not, what kind of color the phone has, what are the physical features, everything. Then there will be people who will tell me that do not look at the physical features, look at the internal features, the GB, the ROM, whether it has some storage or not, the charging and things like that. So here we have seen that there are two people who have different judgments. There are different methods of judging. है ना? Some are judging on the physical features, some are judging on the internal features. So this is how criticism is. There are various critiques who have their own thinking, who have their own philosophy and theory in their mind. That if you are judging a piece of work, then judge it on the basis of this, on the basis of this, on the basis of that. So that is why we have different types of criticism. We would be talking about them later. First, we will discuss all the criticism, all the major writers, their ideas, their works, and then we will classify them. Then we will classify all the types. Then it would become easier for you. Now, it has different stages. The criticism has passed through different stages. First, there were Greek period. In Greek criticism, we had Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Then came the Greco-Roman period in which we have Horace, Longinus. And then comes the Renaissance part. In this we have Philip Sidney and Ben Jonson. And later comes the neoclassical period where we have Dryden, Alexander Pope, Samuel Johnson. And the romantic ones we have P.B. Shelley, Wordsworth, Coleridge. Victorian period where we have Matthew Arnold. And then comes the modern part in which we have Walter Peter, aesthetic criticism, I.O. Richards. And then comes the new criticism. And also, later onwards, our theory was developed. Theory is a tool and the criticism is the application of that tool. Now you know. So in theory, I say that do the feminist reading of Pride and Prejudice. But when I am actually evaluating and assessing the characters, the dialogues and the theories, so that is known as criticism. So criticism is the application part of that evaluation. And the lens through which I am evaluating the attitude and the theories that I'm looking at, that is known as literary theory. So that is the difference. So theory is broad. It has various ideas from various fields itself. It is somewhat interconnected. But criticism is all about evaluating, assessing whatever we have in our hands. It just means assess it, evaluate it, whether it is good, whether it is bad, just evaluate it, just assess it. That is known as criticism. Now let us just come directly to the Greek criticism. Let's just start our discussion from Socrates. Socrates have not written any text so that we do read his terms or something. But Socrates is one such, Greek Athenian philosopher who gave Socratic method. Now, when it comes to UGC NET exam, they have never asked about Socrates that much in a direct way. But yes, we should know about a few things of Socrates. That is, he has given Socratic method. Now, what is Socratic method? Socratic method means to arriving at truth by asking questions. Have you seen that when we used to be in schools or in college, teachers used to ask questions like cross questioning. So they would ask a question, and if we know the answer, we would say, but if we do not know the answer, we would say the wrong answer. And then the teacher will tell us the right answer. So by asking from the students, by cross-examining, we arrive at the right answer. So this cross-questioning is known as Socratic method. Now Socrates was known for this. He used to roam everywhere and ask the people that what do you mean by philosophy? What is morality? What is virtue? So he would ask people, and the people used to say wrong answers, and then he would say the right answer. So this is what he did. So this was Socrates. This is Socratic method. And Aristophanes, in his work The Clouds, has written about him in Clouds, has made a caricature of Socrates, in which Socrates is represented as a person who is spreading the false science, because Socrates was one such person who used to rebel against the authorities, against the corruption, because who would want a person who would ask questions? So he was poisoned to the death. He was given hemlock and he was put to death. So that is all about Socrates. And Socrates was the teacher of Plato. And now it comes to the Plato. So now we would discuss about the Plato and his terms. Now Plato was one such person who was first systematic critique. He has given his own conceptions of poetry, that how a poetry should be, how a poet should be, and whether the poets are good or not, and what is the aim and function of poetry. Now, he was born in 427 BC. Let us talk about the Plato. Now, Plato is first systematic critic. He was born in 427 BC, and Plato was an idealist, and he used to believe that poetry should be like that, poets should be like that, nation should be like that. So he was an idealist, and because he had an interest in mathematics, in logical subjects, that is why, and that is the reason that he always applied ideas to the things, to the objects, to the environment. Now he was a very well-read person. He has read philosophy, maths, law, history, and a lot of subjects, and that is why he gave such amazing theories. Now he was one such critic who first used the term of imitation. He said that poetry, or we can say all the art, is a kind of imitation. What is imitation? Whenever we say that someone is copying us, we always feel bad that why that person is copying us. But it is not like that. Imitation means inspiration, taking inspiration. You know what? Poetry gets its inspiration from the surroundings, from the people, from the objects, from the nature. So whatever we have, whatever we see, we take the inspiration from that. If I'm writing a poetry on daffodils, then of course that I have taken my inspiration from the daffodils or some nature or some flowers. So that is why we are saying that every art is an imitation. Imitation is the basic law. In childhood, what we used to do, we used to imitate the elders. We have seen different girl childs who play teacher student games and imitate their teacher by wearing dupatta and heels and handbags. We have seen boys playing with the guns, bikes, cars because they want to imitate the elders. So that is imitation. So imitation is not a bad thing. It's just taking the inspiration. Now, because he has founded academy, he used to teach pupils, and he was an idealist person. He used to say that we would teach students like this, we would teach them this, we will not teach anything which is not important, which is not moral, which is not for the growth of students' mind. We will not teach anything bad to our students. And he was an idealist. Now he has written important works like Dialogues, Iron, and Phaedrus, Republic. He has written important books. Just remember their name. And the most important here is this Iron and the Republic, book number 10. Now in his book Republic, book number 10, he says that for the poet is a light and winged and holy thing. Because according to him, poet is a very light and holy spirit. Poets are somebody who has some poetic inspiration from the God itself. He says that whenever you are writing a poetry, poetic inspiration is from the God. Whenever a poet writes a poetry, or we can say any writer who writes any work of art, be it novel, be it any novel, drama, fiction, whatever. So there is a poetic divine power of God. So poets are really holy. It is from the poets that God talks to us. But the thing is that if the poet is writing with something which is not present in the physical world, that means that poet is maybe, so because in his frenzy, the poet might write something which is very irrational. It is not always possible that he or she is having the divine inspiration. The poet would write anything that comes into his mind, in his frenzy, in his madness. The other things that he says is that ideas alone are real and they are true, and other earthly things are just copies and types. Now just imagine that if there is a scale and I'm just looking at it, and this scale is the reality, right? This scale is the reality. But when I'm looking at it, I'm forming an image in my mind of this scale. Now that image is not reality. It is just copy, or we can say an imitation, or we can say a shadow of this scale. And when I will write something, a poetry or a few lines on this scale, then it will be another imitation. Again a shadow, again a copy of that image. First, we have copied this scale in mind. That is the first imitation. And now I am writing a poem by imitating this image from here. Now that is a second imitation. So that is why Plato says that poetry is a shadow of shadows, an imitation of an imitation. It is not reality. Poetry is not real. Ideas are real. Ideas alone are real. Everything that is there is copy. For instance, in a painting, a painter is painting by looking at an object. Now that object is the reality. But the painting, or we can say the art, the literature, is not real. It's just an imitation. And it is twice removed from the reality. It has been removed twice. First from the object to the mind, and then from the mind to the piece of paper. So that is this. When it comes to Plato, we might wonder that why he is the way he is, why he is saying all these things. Because in those times, at the Greek time, things were not good. The social, the political conditions of Greece at that time was not very much good. There was less education, and there used to be epics like Homer. And in the epics of Homer, there used to be gods and fighters, the warriors, who seems to be somewhat corrupted, and they would just fight and a lot of bloodshed, and they were corrupted. So all these things, Plato thought that this is not something good, because the works of Homer are, recommended in the curriculum of the students of our schools, of our academies. And if they will read such kinds of epics of heroes, of fighting, bloodshed, corruption, and all these things, what they would learn from all these? So that is why he said that there should be no poetry, there should be no poet. And in order to have a good nation, very systematic nation, good administration, good education, and everything like an utopia, we should have philosophers and orators as legislators of a nation, not poets. Poets do not know anything, they're just rambling, they have no knowledge of truth. Moreover, he attacks poetry on 4 basic grounds. First, on the moral ground, he says that poet writes according to the taste of the different people. For instance, we have seen that how Homer has written epic. In epic, he has shown gods as immoral. And if children will read such works, they will imitate it. And even if poet is having some hidden message or hidden meaning or hidden maxim for the children to learn, children is so innocent that they would not be able to learn it. So there is no need for poem, because that is not something which is moral. And drama is the worst, because drama have actions. It has melodramas, dialogue, melodramatic. Then he attacks poetry on the ground of emotions. He says that poetry makes us disbalanced. He says that poetry does not give us wisdom. We need some balance in our personality. Poetry weakens us. It makes us emotional. And that is very frenzy thing, because we observe ourselves into the character in the literature. We observe ourselves, we look at the character and we see ourselves in that character. If that character is immoral, corrupt, and if that character is evil, then what we will learn from this? And he attacks poetry on the ground of intellectualism. He says that poets have no knowledge. The nominal word is just an illusion. They are just coping. They just have ideas. And then he attacks it on the ground of utilitarian, that poetry does not have anything useful for the nation. It does not have any purpose. So the only poetry, or we can say literature, that should be there is the hymns to gods, religious songs. So he was the one person who has given the concept of mimesis, imitation, for the first time. He said that art is of 2 types, useful and fine arts. Now useful arts are the astronomy, history, politics, and fine arts is the art, poetry, literature. And because he has given so many ideas, he has given the stimulus to Aristotle, just because he attacked poetry, and because of that attack, Aristotle condemned those attacks, and he gave the theory of imitation, catharsis, that we will be learning shortly. So we can say that the very dust of his writing is gold. Now he has given theory of cave. In this theory of cave, we have seen that there are a few prisoners who are sitting in a dark cave, in a dark room. Now, here in front of them there is a wall, and behind these people is a fire, so, and the flames. So there is a people going here. So between the people and the fire, there people are going with the objects in their hands. So the objects are forming a kind of shadow on the wall there. So now these prisoners are seeing those objects and they saying, oh, these objects are real. They are not shadows, they are real. But in reality, they are just shadows because of this flame. Because of that flame, they are just shadows on the wall. So similarly, Plato says that there is a reality outside the world and we do not know of that thing. And then he says the 2 terms, form. What is form? Form is the perfect and unchanging idea that we have in our mind. Form is the real thing that we have in our mind here. That is form. And then we have the copy. It is the copy of that. For instance, the idea of chair is the form, but the chair itself is the copy. And if I write something on chair or a painting, if I make a painting of chair, that is also a copy. And the only thing that we should be copying is the highest form. It should be good. We should always copy something which is highest and the good. So that is all about Plato. Now there is another work of Plato which is Phaedrus. Now this work is all about the discussion on speech and writing. So here Plato says that speech is more important than writing. So you should know about this thing. Now if we talk of Aristotle, now Aristotle was the teacher of Alexander the Great. He was pupil of Plato. Now Plato said that poets should be banned from the nation and poetry is the mother of lies and things like that, and it is an imitation which is important and all arts is an imitation. So Aristotle said that yes, all art is an imitation. But how can you say that it is just copy? It is not just slavish imitation. It is not just mimicry. It is creative. So whenever a poet is copying something, it is not just a mere copy. It's not just a mere copy. It's imaginative. It's creative. He will add something into that work, into that idea. He will select it. He will filter it. He will add something new and he will produce something good. So that is the art of making poetry, art of creation. Now Aristotle has written many important books. Many important books that you should know, like Poetics. But we would talk of Poetics specifically in this video because in that book we have the criticism of Aristotle. Now when it comes to the structure of this book, now this book has 26 chapters and these 6 chapters can be divided into 5 parts, and in that he talks of poetry, its kind, and tragedy. He also talks of the diction and how a diction and epic, the tragedy, what is the difference between them, and the general remarks that we have. Now let us just discuss the theory of imitation of Aristotle. In theory of imitation, he says that whenever we are trying to imitate something, now there are 3 things that we have to look for. There are objects and the manner in which we are imitating and the mode, the medium through which we are imitating. Who is the object? Object is the man in action. What we are copying the man. Whenever I am writing a poem, a novel, a drama, an essay, I am taking the inspiration from the society, from that man. So that man must be doing some action. He must be in a state of work. So that man in action is my object of imitation, right? And if I am imitating that person better than he or she is in a very heroic way, then it is tragedy. But if I am imitating that person worse than he or she is, then it means I am mocking that person. And to mock means to laugh at the follies of that person is comedy. Later, secondly, he talks of the manner. That all arts includes imitation, but the way they imitate, the methods that they use is different. Either I am telling it, either I am showing it. So imitation, the type, the manner is different. So in the epics, we tell. In the epics, we invoke the muse. We tell that this is happening, the Saturn is falling. They are collected in the pandemonium. They are, planning against the god. Now they are going there. There is scorching heat. So here we are telling. We are using this method of verbal. We are telling. But in tragedy, in drama, we show. We use the dialogues. We use the actions. We show. So that is the difference. Now thirdly, he talks of the medium. Medium means the tool that I am using. So a painter, if he or she wants to imitate something, would take some sketch pens, painting colors, brushes. If I am, an artist, a musician, then if I have to imitate, imitate, then I would use my vocal cords, I will sing. And if I am making a chair, then I will use wood, I will use a cutter. Similarly, if a writer has to imitate, then he would use a pen, he would use a piece of paper, would use language. Then Aristotle talks of tragedy. What is tragedy? Now, this is the most important definition of tragedy. You should remember this definition of tragedy by heart. That tragedy is an imitation. We have seen what is imitation. Imitation of an action. It is taking an inspiration from an action. So tragedy is an imitation of an action that is serious. Because in tragedy we have serious tone. We do not laugh in tragedies. There is bloodshed, there is revenge, there is somebody who is dying, there is sadness, pain, somebody is crying. So it is serious and it is complete. Complete in the sense that there is a proper middle, proper beginning, proper end. It is complete, it's whole. It has some organic unity and of a certain magnitude. Magnitude means that it has some volume, it has some size. It should not be too short, it should not be too long. It should have some magnitude. Through pity and fear affecting the proper purgation. And in a tragedy, whenever we see somebody who is crying, who is suffering, we feel pity. That let me just go and save that person. So that is pity. But we have fear also that this thing has happened with that person because he has done something bad earlier. So we have a fear in our mind that if I do the same thing, then this will happen with me also. So there is a pity and fear. And now this is leading to catharsis. Catharsis means that there is a relief on my part. Then Aristotle gives 6 elements of a tragedy. That it should have a plot. Plot means the plot is the soul of tragedy. Plot is the story. Plot is how the things are going. There is a middle action, there is a beginning, and then there is a rising action. Then we have a peak point. And then after that we have a falling action. And then the resolution. So it has some plot, it has some stories, it has some story and outline. And it is the soul of tragedy. Because without plot there is no tragedy. If you do not have any story to tell, then there is no story. Similarly, secondly, we have character. The character should be moral. It should be suitable to its type. It's not that I am showing you a heroic figure in my work, but that heroic figure does not have any heroism. If I have to represent a hero in my work, then I would give him or her a sword, a shield, a battleground, and some clothes which are suitable to the battleground. So it should be suitable, it should be true to the type. The character should be true to the type. It should be accurate. But he talks of thought. Thought are the ideas and the themes. There should be some thought in a tragedy. Thought is the character, what a character is thinking in the mind. And after having that thought, that person is, giving some dialogue, some diction. Fourth is diction. Diction means the expression, the dialogues, the language. Fifth we have in tragedy is the melody, that means the music. So we have seen that in a tragedy, there comes the chorus in between. And they sing and they address the audience that this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Oh, this should not be. They make a commentary on the play, on the tragedy. That is melody part. Then we have last, that is spectacle. Spectacle means the stagecraft, and which is the least important. The stagecraft does not matter. The props that we use on the stage, there is a tree, there is a chair, altar, flowers, the props, they're not that much important. So these are the 6 elements of a tragedy. Then he says that whenever it comes to plot, there is unity of action only, but critics have assigned him with giving 3 types of unities: unity of time, place and action. But he has just given the unity of action only. that there should be a single plot and a complete action. What do we mean by this? There should be a single idea, a single plot, a single story. We should not mingle two stories going simultaneously like we have subplots. No, there should be just one action, one story, fixed characters, and that same thing going on. So that is a unity of action. If we have the unity of action, the coherency will not get disturbed. The pleasure that we get from the tragedy will not weaken. It should have a proper beginning, proper middle, proper ending. In the beginning, we should be familiar with the events before the beginning, and this beginning should lead naturally to the middle, and this middle should lead naturally to the ending, and after that ending there should be no scope or something more, because it has to end there. So it should be proper sequence, we would say. And this story revolves because of law of probability and necessity, the cause and effect. What do we mean by this? That there should be actions which are probable, the actions which can happen. Necessity means that we need that thing there. So whenever a writer wants to introduce something, he should use this law, that whether that thing is necessary and whether that thing is probable there or not. Probable in the sense whether we need it. Then he says that the tragedy should have organic unity. Organic means a living organism, and a living organism is a perfect in itself. And whenever we try to cut a part from an organism, the other parts gets disturbed. Similarly, in a tragedy should be organic whole. That if I am cutting something from the tragedy, any scene, any character, any dialogue, then the whole gets disturbed. It should be organic whole. It should be comprehensive. It should be complete in itself. There should be unity. There should be coherency. Then talks that there are two kinds of plot: simple plot and complex plot. In simple plot, we do not have anagnorisis and peripeteia. What is anagnorisis and peripeteia? Anagnorisis means the recognition. Recognition means recognition on the part of hero. We have seen that in Oedipus complex, a play written by Sophocles, when Oedipus gets to know that my wife is my mother, there is this moment of anagnorisis, that he has recognized that thing, that oh, that the very wife of mine is my mother. So at that moment he recognizes, and that is the moment from where the fate of the hero will change, and there will be reversal of fortune after that. Now he will pluck out his eyes and he will cry. He will just leave. So this reversal of fortune is known as peripeteia. That recognition is anagnorisis, and this reversal of fortune after that is peripeteia. This is downfall. So a complex plot has either one of them or both. But in a simple plot, we do not have such things. It's just straight plot, nothing like that. Then there is another kind of plot, or we can say tragic comedies. So Aristotle does not like that tragic comedy where you are having happiness and sadness at the same time. How can this be possible? How can you talk of double plots, double endings? He does not like that. He also talks of characters. What are the characteristics of characters? The character should be good. He should be morally good. Because if the character is not good, then how would I feel pity for him? How will I fear? And it should be appropriate to its type. Appropriate, that means if I'm showing children, then they should be happy, exploring, playing. If I'm showing some old person, then he should be somewhat sad and sullen, sitting, thinking. And he should be lifelike. He should be like us, realistic. He should not be very phenomenal and fantastic, something very phenomenal and beyond us, so that we cannot relate to that person. Fourthly, he says that he should be consistent. Consistent not self-contradictory. If I am behaving like a mad person, then I should behave like a mad person. I should not change. I should be true to what I am performing. Then he talks of catharsis. What is catharsis? Catharsis is the, purgation and cleansing out of our emotions. So whenever we go to the theater and we see the hero crying at the end, and the bad person gets punished, and the good person, whenever we go to the theater and watch some tragic movies or something, we see that how we see the hero crying, we kind of feel a pity for him, है ना? And a fear that things like this should not happen with us. So this is known as catharsis. It gives us relief. And I do not know if you have seen that there, whenever we come from the movies, that area is very much simple, very much ordinary. It is not decorated at all. It is meant to give us catharsis. Just observe that thing. It purgates us, it cleans us out. You should know about the purgation theory. Then he talks of the difference between epic and tragedy, that how these two are different. Epic is something which is long, which has many characters, diverse, different digressions. First we talk of Satan, then we talk of God, then we are talking of Beelzebub, death, sin, different small fallen angels, and so many characters. And divergence, digressions, first we are talking of pandemonium, we are talking of hell, heaven, different events, different scenes, and very long, 12 books, 24 books. And it has many episodes. It is on higher scale, different places, hell, heaven, earth. So that is epic. But tragedy is short. It's a short piece of work. Play, some 50-60 pages. And it is dramatic. It is not in the narrative sense. In epic we narrate, but in drama, in tragedy, there are actions, there is drama, there are dialogues. It is dramatic. And there is unity of action. There are no digressions. There is unity of action. That yes, this particular things, that this is a particular plot and this is the story, and that's it. It is unity there. And it is concentrated. Then he talks of HAMARTIA also. That what is HAMARTIA? HAMARTIA is error of judgment on the part of hero. That just imagine that there is a person who is perfect, who is good. He has not done anything bad. But if we want to have a tragedy, then there should be something, some weakness in that person. There has to be some weakness, some error on judgment. So the writer would give him some error, some weakness, very small. And this will lead to the downfall. So that is known as HAMARTIA. And then he talks that how a tragic hero should be. He should be noble. A person of eminence, because if that person is from eminence or some aristocratic or some very famous, then there would be pity. Who would cry for an ordinary person? But in modern dramas we do. We have cried for Willy Loman in the death of the salesman. He was an ordinary person. And he should be neither too perfect and too evil. If he is too perfect, then that means that he is not having any flaw. And if he is too evil, then how would we have a pity on evil? If the evil is getting, some punishment, then why would we cry? So that is the tragic hero. So let us just end our video here, and we would be discussing our criticism in which we have Longinus and Horace in our next video, and we would also cover the other criticism as well. So I would like to thank you and just stay connected to our channel and just complete this series of literary criticism with us. We would be dealing with the other units as well, like literary theory after this criticism. So in just 2 or 3 lectures of this literary criticism we would cover it, and then we will upload the videos of literary theory. So subscribe to our channel, and at the end of this video, now there is one work for you, which is I would like you to write the definition of tragedy in the comment section. So stay tuned and thank you.